And I think that's the challenge, right? And in people, right? One is we don't communicate with ourselves. We don't actually know our what we want in life. And I kind of think about I mean, this might be nerdy. This might be crazy to think about. I told this to a guy when I was at a men's retreat.
Okay.
And I said, kind of the way I think about it is you're 75 years old. How do I reverse architect and where am I going to be when I'm 75? And what kind of grandparent do I want to be almost, right? Because when I'm 75, my son is 4 years old. The things that I'm doing now are going to really impact what kind of grandparent almost, right?
Totally.
Because it's going to build hey, what are our family mantras? What are we doing on a regular basis? All those kind of things. And again, life insurance, the policies are just part of the puzzle, but it's really reverse architecting, right? How do I reverse architect? And I know with the policy that it's going to be made, it's going to finish. Either I'm going to retire, die, right? And how do I set that up for them, for my grandkids who don't exist? And how do I then build in those things that are going to get me there, whether it's relationships, right? I mean, I intentionally reached out to you, right? To build the relationships, to build success, whatever success means to you, but you have to think through that. And what you mentioned is you and your wife communicate. This is where I was going with this. One of our biggest rules of our house, when I had roommates, when we had a church plant, communicate was our rule. Still number one rule. You will solve a lot of problems. You will not have a lot of problems when you communicate. And what I love, again, with the policies, it's pretty clear communication.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
It's in the contract.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And it's like when I'm traveling, and when we say communicate, it's like you really got to do it, right? Like it allows, I'm able to be way more effective because my wife and I trust each other. Right. And so I'm able to push boundaries that a lot of people won't push. Or maybe if they did push them to the level that I do, it would damage their relationship with their spouse. Right. But I'm not worried about that because I've given my wife complete authority. Like, hey, honey, if I'm pushing it too much, you tell me. The next week I will back it down. Right. Like, because she always knows that I'm going to prioritize her and the kids over everything. Right. No matter what. Like I'm going to go, a million miles a minute. But at the end of the day, like I'll come back. And it's interesting, with personal finance, when we think about our faith, our family, our fitness, and our finances, those are the four pillars, I think, of life. That if you said to most people, like, what are the four most important areas of life, right? Like, I think it all comes down, fitness, health, kind of being that thing. Money plays into it on a huge level. And, I would argue that money has an impact. It's almost the foundational element of all of it outside of faith. Obviously, faith is the foundational element, but I would argue that money and our relationship with money and who we are with money, how we show up with money, how we leverage money impacts all those other areas, even our faith, the way that we're able to serve on missions and give and tithe and support our communities and churches and all those different things. The way that we're able to show up in our marriage, more divorces are caused because of financial stress than anything else. The way that it's able to help people with their health and their fitness, because more disease is caused because of stress, right? More stress is caused of financial stress. And so I could argue that if you get your money right, you'll live a healthier, happier, more successful, fulfilled life, not just financially, but in your relationships, right? And so and you'll be able to make a greater impact and live more intentionally. And that is what I love to help people do. And the reason I love whole life insurance is because we're human. And we all make mistakes and we all make emotional decisions, and then we try to validate those decisions with logic. And having a whole life policy, it's like a forced savings plan, right? Like, and it's a filter that every decision you make can flow through, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, I know I need to save before I invest.
Yep.
But I'm saving with the intent of investing. So I need to start with the end in mind. I need to think about, what do I want to do? Do I want to be a real estate investor? Yes. Okay. What do I do now? I want to go out and I want to get my first property. Okay. What do I need to do to get that? I need to save money. Okay. How do I save money? Now, if I say I'm just going to put money in a savings account and I'm going to wait. Now, some people may have the discipline to do that. Most people don't. So I also believe that we need to stress ourselves in a healthy way more than we do, right? And what I mean by that is, a lot of people are like, I don't want to have a premium payment. I don't want to have I only want to, let me preface this. I don't think you should push it too much. Like, you got to find that kind of happy medium and understand your cash flow. That's why it's important to work with somebody that can help you kind of figure out what that is.
Yeah. And change if things
100%,
get hard or,
100%, and design it so there's some flexibility and room to move about the cabin, so to speak. But at the end of the day, having a whole life policy is basically a forced savings plan.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing I've been thinking about recently. Again, I'm a person of faith, and the tithe model, right? So in the tithe model, 10% of all you earn, or 10% is going to God, right? So this is what's interesting. 10% off the top is a tithe, right? God set it up in motion already, how to finance things, how to structure, right?
Yeah.
It's all his anyway.
Yep.
So then if we think about it, and then there's the richest man in Babylon, 10% of all you earn is for you to keep, right? Well, all right. So that just tells me 10% goes to God, right? That's 90% left. 10% goes for me to keep, right? So where's the best place to put it? For me, I'm like, well, put it into a life insurance policy, 10%.
Yeah.
For long term, right? And I do what I call the 10-10-10 savings rule. 10% goes for long term, 10% medium term, and 10% short term. I already gave 10% to God, right? So then that leaves me with 60% of living, right? And short term is like Christmas and some of that, but I'm still saving, right? It amazes me how many times people are at Christmas time, right? And people are freaking out because Christmas is here.
Credit cards.
I'm like, but if we lived with the percentage model, the model that God put forth, and we lived with that, we live within our means. One is we're going to set up a priority of what's important.
Yeah.
We've already set up the priority, and it's all percentage. So as my income grows, it's a percentage base.
Yeah.
This is the crazy thing from a faith perspective. I actually tithe more than I made 10 years ago when I had our coffee shop.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. And I could say, well, that 10% could be used somewhere else. But I've already thought out the decision. I already know where I'm going with it, and it's a non-negotiable. So we have to have those non-negotiables just as much as we do with our faith, with ourselves, with our family, and building those non-negotiables of going to the gym, having date night. Those kind of things are really important, whether it's policy or not.
It's interesting. It really all comes down to your intentionality, and understanding like what you want your life to look like. And it's like the old fable of the Mexican fisherman. Have you heard this?
I don't know, maybe.
So there's this funny fable, and it's for all I know, it's probably a true story, but it's all about like, so this New York banker, takes this trip to Mexico. Yeah. And he goes down into the Gulf of Mexico, and this cool little Mexican village, and he meets this guy that has a fishing boat. And the guy, all he does is he wakes up in the morning, he goes down to his boat, fishes, hangs out, loves the sun, loves his life. He's just there anyway. Yeah. And if tourists come by, he brings them out, and because he's doing it anyway. He's doing what he loves to do, right? Yeah. And so then this banker sees him, and he goes out, has a great experience with this Mexican fisher, and they have like all this success. And the guy, they get back to the dock after fishing all day, and bringing in all these fish and having, just wild success. And the banker's like, listen,
we can do all of this.
Like, that was the best day of my life. Yeah. Like, you do such a great job. Have you thought about scaling?
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing all this? And the fisher's like, no, I haven't. He goes, well, you could make millions of dollars. Like, think about like what that would look like. He's like, well, what would that look like? And he goes, well, we'd be able to get you more boats. I could raise some capital. Mm-hmm. We could go get a lot of boats. We could come back, and make all this money and you could build this empire and whatever. And he goes, okay, then what? And he goes, well, then you'd be worth millions of dollars. We'd sell it off. He goes, well, then what would I do? And he was like, well, then you could be able to wake up in the morning and do whatever you want and, live the life that you want. He's like, well, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's interesting. Like, a lot of times we lose sight of that. And we're just chasing the wrong things. Yeah. And, the big thing is that I look at it like this: is the most valuable resource that we have. And everybody knows this, right? Yeah. Is time, yep. Right? Time is the most valuable thing that we have. It's the one thing that we can't replace. Everybody kind of intrinsically knows that, yet we don't live in accordance to that understanding. Right. Caleb, did this talk where he's talking about Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And Warren Buffett, he's like, who here would trade places with Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett's worth over $100 billion, yeah, but he's 91 years old, right? Yep. So I'm not trading places with Warren Buffett, because if I trade places with him, it's not bank accounts, it's his age.
Yeah.
So I would forfeit the next 50 years of my life.
Yeah.
Am I willing to take $100 billion? The answer is, like, if I wanted to be the sacrificial lamb and set my family up, maybe, yeah. But aside from that, like, just talking about my life and my contribution and being here with my kids and mentoring and shepherding and whatever, everybody knows, like, very few people, I think, would trade places with Warren Buffett at 91 years old, yet nobody lives in according to that understanding.
And again, thinking about, like, our life and our world is busy, very busy.
Yeah.
And we crowded out with Netflix shows and who knows what we binge watch. I do watch shows, but I also know I have a 4-year-old, right? And my 4-year-old's not going to be around,
right?
Like really 18 years.
And it flies, brother.
And I'm like, what can I do? How can we build? What are the mantras?
Yeah.
Like, he knows some of our family mantras.
Yeah.
Life is an adventure is a mantra that he knows. Sundays are a family fun day. We will go on an adventure. Sometimes it's an adventure to go buy all kinds of stupid crap that we don't need for Christmas, but that was an adventure. And he's like, one of his adventures right now, this is fun, is he hated Costco. This is just
what?
Yeah, he hated Costco.
Okay.
Hated Costco because he hates shopping, which I guess that's from his mom.
4-year-old?
Yeah.
Really?
Hates shopping.
Already knows that. Okay.
However, he learned about sample day.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Sample day.
So now all the time on his adventures, he wants to go to Costco. All the time. I'm like, really? Could we go, like, to the mountains or something? No, I want to go to Costco. I find that just really crazy.
That's funny.
But it's not to buy stuff; it's to eat samples.
All right.
So anyway,
that's funny.
But
it's the adventure. It's the idea of just having an experience and the kids just knowing that that's built into life.
And here's the thing on the samples: he doesn't know what he's going to eat. It's an adventure. We don't know what's going to be on the little thing. Costco is a little, anyway. So anyway, with all that, we should probably close up here.
Yeah.
Guys, really, infinite banking, real talk. We've there's a lot of hype out there. There's a lot of, hype in the market, hype in Wall Street. There's a lot of this person is evil, that person's evil, or all this. Really, here's the thing: does it amplify what you want to accomplish in your life? And can it help you get there further, maybe faster, more efficient? I think that everybody should have this in their portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important, right? Because I'm, again, reverse architecting. But is it a shortcut? Is it going to, rate of return, all this other stuff? I don't know. Like, I mean, rate of return of going to Costco and doing all that, I could work.
Well, it's just time, right? Yeah. Like there are certain things in life where you are, there's going to be real returns, and then there's certain things that's just you're investing in those relationships, and there's not going to be a monetary return. I would say like this, is Tony Robbins always says that one of the human needs that we all have, everybody, is progress, right? Yeah. And so I would ask everybody to think about like what you're doing right now. Is it providing you progress? Is it getting you closer to where you want to go? And for most people, sadly, the answer is no. And it's not because what you're doing is wrong. It's because you don't even know where you want to go. Yeah. And
the still method. Yeah. You need to ask those and then look for 1% adjustments.
Yeah. Right. And do things consistently over time. People way overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. Yeah. Right. Like, I promise you, if you focus on something and you commit to a process and you align your money and your philosophy and your strategy with your money, with your values, with your beliefs, and you start executing and you start making those incremental adjustments, you are going to live a life. You're going to become somebody completely different. 2 years from now, you're going to look in a mirror and you're going to be like, wow, remember when I was in this place and I couldn't imagine it all to be possible. Right. Yeah. It's because you have so much more in you than you realize. You have so much more ability than you even realize. And that you just have to be willing to show up and execute and do it. And if you do, and you align your money with your values and beliefs, and you execute accordingly, the sky's the limit.